Oh shit, here we go again, with the absolute doom and gloom news cycle, trying to hijack your sanity and your sleep. I was literally just sitting here at my desk, cold brew in hand, scrolling through a major financial news site, and I ran across this absolute train wreck of an article. The title was framed like a horror movie. Something like the stark reality of why a $1.5 million retirement is failing in 2026. I felt that familiar little spike of adrenaline, that tiny knot in the stomach, because if $1.5 million isn't tea enough, what hope is there for the rest of us? I went into this article with a massive chip on my shoulder, thinking there is absolutely no way this logic holds up under a real microscopic look. And man, I was right. Because it is honestly one of the most poorly framed and executed pieces of financial propaganda I have seen in years, it falls right into that classic trap of telling people that even if you save a mountain of cash, you are still basically one bad inflation print away from total disaster. Look, I am your boy Aaron, and I am telling you right now we need to take this article out back and bury it, because the math is just plain wrong. The part that really made me lose my mind, the part where I almost threw my laptop across the room, was when they started talking about the tax situation. They said if you take a standard 4% withdrawal from a $1.5 million portfolio, that gives you $60,000 a year to live on. Okay, 4% is a safe standard assumption rooted in the Trinity study. So I am vibing with them for exactly one sentence, but then they hit you with this crazy hallucinated number, saying that after federal taxes, you are only left with $46,800. I had to stop reading right there, because that was the exact moment I realized this author has zero clue how 2026 tax codes actually work. We need to walk through this together, because if you believe their math, you are going to be living in a state of unnecessary fear for the next decade. Let's tackle the tax math first, because it is the biggest, ugliest lie in the whole story, and it is designed to keep you working forever. Yes, if your money is sitting in a traditional 401k or a traditional IRA, the government treats your withdrawals like a regular paycheck. And yes, looking at the projected 2026 tax brackets, $60,000 technically puts you in that 22% zone. But here's where the article falls apart and starts acting like a high schooler who failed basic algebra and decided to write for a tabloid instead. It assumes you pay 22% on every single dollar of that $60,000, which is just not how a progressive tax system works in the real world. In our reality, your first dollars are basically free, and only the stuff at the very top of your income pile gets hit with the higher rates. Plus, by the time we hit 2026, we have these massive, beautiful deductions for seniors that the article completely and conveniently ignored. When you are 65 or older, you get 3 distinct, powerful layers of protection for your money that act like a digital shield for your bank account. First, you have the base standard deduction, which for singles in 2026 is projected around $16,100, and for married couples, it is a whopping $32,200. Then you have the age-based add-on, which is another $2,050 for singles just for being a seasoned human being. And then there is the big one, the one the media hates talking about, the new OBA senior bonus deduction, which gives you an extra $6,000 per person. If you add all that up, a single retiree in 2026 gets to shield over $24,000 of their income before the IRS even gets to look at a penny. For a married couple, that shield is almost $48,000 of pure, tax-free, unadulterated spending power. So when the article tells you that you only keep $46,000 out of your $60,000, they are off by nearly $12,000. That is a massive difference. That is the difference between taking a luxury cruise through the Mediterranean and staying home to watch reruns of the news. This truly matters because when you are being fed a narrative that you keep less, you start making fearful, scarcity-based decisions about your life. And this is all before we even mention Social Security, which is the big elephant in the room that this article just pretended didn't exist. For the sake of the clicks, it is like they wanted to paint the most depressing, gray, bleak picture possible just to keep people clicking on their ads. If you add in Social Security, your total income goes up, but your tax rate doesn't necessarily skyrocket, because Social Security is taxed on a sliding scale. Only a portion of your benefit becomes taxable based on your other income. And for the vast majority of people, the effective tax rate stays incredibly low. I spent all night running the numbers for a hypothetical couple making over $100,000 in total combined retirement income. Their actual tax bill was less than $6,000, which is an effective tax rate of about 5.4%. Compare that to the 22% horror story. The news is pushing, and you start to realize how much they are gaslighting you. This is exactly why I tell you guys every single week to ignore the mainstream headlines and look at the actual spreadsheets. Now let us talk about that 4% withdrawal rate, because the article suggests you should try to drive it down to 3% because the world is too volatile. They actually had the nerve to suggest you should work a part-time job as a greeter just to avoid touching your portfolio too much. Look, if you want to work a little bit because it keeps your brain sharp and gives you a reason to put on pants, I am all for it. But doing it because you are scared your 4% rate is going to bankrupt you is just not supported by 40 years of market data. Modern research, including thousands of Monte Carlo simulations, shows that a 4% rate is incredibly safe even if you retire right into a bear market. And that assumes you are a total robot who never adjusts your spending even when the S&P 500 is taking a nosedive. If you have even an ounce of flexibility, if you can skip one vacation in a bad year, you can actually pull 5% or more and be totally fine. On a $1.5 million portfolio, that extra 1% is an additional $15,000 a year in your pocket for things you actually enjoy. The problem is these articles want to frame 1.5 million as if it is a fragile, tiny, pathetic amount of money. But in reality, it is a powerful compounding engine that can support a very high quality lifestyle. If you just understand the plumbing, let us look at a real world stress test. Like if you decided to say screw the system and retire early at 55, even if you have to bridge the gap for 7 years before Social Security kicks in, that 1.5 million is an absolute beast. You can take out $70,000 a year, let the market do its thing, and once those government checks start rolling in, your withdrawal rate drops. By the time you hit 70, your portfolio is likely bigger than when you started because that is how compounding works over decades. So why is the media so obsessed with telling us we are all going to end up broke and miserable? Because fear is the ultimate product. Fear keeps you glued to the screen, and fear keeps you productive for a system that doesn't care about you. But when you pull back the curtain and look at the 2026 tax codes and the historical resilience of the market, the fear just melts away. You start to realize that you actually have a shield, you have a logic-based plan, and you have a massive advantage over everyone else. The world might feel like a chaotic mess right now with inflation and wars and AI changing the job market every 6 months. But your numbers don't lie. If you have been disciplined enough to build that stack and you are smart about things like Roth conversions, you are winning the game. You don't need to be a billionaire with a private jet to have a high-status, high-quality life. You just need to understand the mechanics. Wall Street wants to keep you in the dark because a confused, terrified investor is a highly profitable one for the big firms. But we are not doing that here. We are looking at the raw, unpolished math, and we are taking back our power. So the next time you see one of those stark reality articles, just laugh, close the tab, and go for a walk in the sun. You have done the work, you have saved the money, and you deserve to enjoy every second of that freedom without being scared by bad math. Keep your head up, stay diversified in your holdings, and remember that your time is the most valuable thing you will ever own. Think about the psychological impact of being told your life. S-work is basically a drop in the bucket. I see it in the comment section all the time, people who have hit that $1 million milestone and they still feel like they are failing. That is a direct result of this kind of financial gaslighting that ignores the reality of cost of living adjustments and tax shields. If you have 1.5 million, you are in the top tier of savers globally, and it is time you started acting like it. You should be planning for experiences, for hobbies, for family, not for how to stretch a nickel into a dime because of a fake news article. I want you to imagine waking up on your first day of retirement and knowing with absolute certainty that your math is solid. You know exactly how the 2026 tax brackets are going to treat your specific income level. You know exactly how that OBA senior deduction is going to save you thousands of dollars every single year. That knowledge is your armor. It is the invisible shield that keeps the stress of the world from reaching your dinner table. Dante let some journalist who is probably struggling to pay their own rent tell you how to feel about your life. As savings, we are entering a new era of personal finance where the old rigid rules are shifting. But the new rules actually favor those who pay attention. Be the person who pays attention, be the person who knows that 1.5 million is a mountain of security, not a molehill. I have spent thousands of hours staring at these charts and spreadsheets so you don't have to. And the conclusion is always the same. Flexibility and data beat fear and headlines every single time without exception. If the S&P 500 is concentrated in tech and becomes more volatile, we adjust our asset allocation and we keep moving. If the tax laws change again, we optimize our withdrawal strategy and we keep moving. But what we never ever do is retreat back into a place of scarcity and panic because of a viral hit piece. You have the tools right here in front of you, and you have a community of people who are looking at the same data. I am going to keep calling out these articles as long as they keep publishing them, because someone has to tell the truth. Someone has to show you the actual math that leads to a life of freedom and dignity. You are closer than you think, and your money is stronger than they want you to believe. Let us keep building that bridge to a life where you don't have to check your bank account every 5 minutes to feel safe. A life where you are the master of your capital, the architect of your own time, and the boss of your own future. I believe in the plan you've built, and I believe in the power of a well-managed, diversified portfolio to weather any storm. Go out there and make your life happen. And Dante, let the noise of the world get in the way of your peace. You got this, and I got your back today. And every day as we navigate this 2026 landscape together, it is time to stop just surviving and start actually thriving in the world we are creating. The future doesn't belong to the loudest people on the news. It belongs to the ones who see the numbers for what they really are. So take a deep breath, look at your balance, and know that you are doing just fine. Actually, let us be real. You are doing better than fine, you are doing great, and you are ahead of the curve. Now, go enjoy your day, and let the haters keep writing their little fear. Based articles while you live your best life. We will be over here living the dream, focused on what actually matters, which is health, family, and freedom. Stay hungry for the truth, stay smart with your trades, and stay focused on the long game. Every dollar you have is a tiny soldier working for your freedom, so treat them with the respect they deserve. The road ahead is incredibly bright if you keep the right perspective and don't let the shadows win. And always remember that the best investment you can ever make is in your own education and your own peace of mind. I want you to think about the people who wrote that article. They want you to feel small so they can feel big. They want to create a sense of crisis because crisis creates engagement, and engagement creates revenue for their dying platforms. But your retirement isn't a revenue stream for them. It is the reward for 30 years of grit and sacrifice. When you look at the actual cost of living in 2026, sure, things are more expensive than they were in the 90s. We all know that. But we also have more tools to manage our money than our parents ever dreamed of having. We have high-yield accounts, we have low-cost index funds, we have tax-advantaged accounts that are more flexible than ever. The $1.5 million you have today is more resilient than $1.5 million was 10 years ago because the systems around it are more efficient. The transaction costs are lower, the information is faster, and the ability to pivot is instant. So when someone tells you that you are falling behind, ask them what data they are using, ask them if they accounted for the 2026 tax resets or the shifts in healthcare subsidies. Chances are they didn't, because a nuanced, positive article doesn't get nearly as many clicks as a terrifying one. I am here to be the voice of reason in a room full of people screaming that the sky is falling. The sky is right where it has always been, and as long as you keep your feet on the ground and your eyes on the data, you'll be fine. I've seen people retire on half that amount and live like kings because they knew how to play the tax game, and I've seen people with $5 million who were miserable because they were always waiting for the next crash. The amount of money you have is only half the equation, the other half is the confidence you have in your plan. I want you to have 100% confidence because you've looked at the same 2026 spreadsheets that I have. You know that the math is on your side, you know that the deductions are real, and you know that the fear is a choice. Choose the data, choose the logic, and choose the freedom that you have earned with every hour of work you've put in. I am proud of the progress you've made, and I am excited to see where you take this next chapter of your life. There is a world of opportunity out there for those who aren't afraid to look past the headlines and find the truth, so go find it, go live it, and don't look back for even a second. The haters are always going to be there, but they don't get a seat at your table. Your table is reserved for the people you love and the goals you've achieved. Keep stacking, keep dreaming, and keep moving forward with that ironclad confidence that only comes from knowing the real numbers. I'll see you in the next one. But until then, make sure you are taking care of yourself and your portfolio. You are the CEO of your own life. So start making the executive decisions that lead to your happiness. The 2026 economy is yours for the taking if you stay sharp and stay the course. Peace.